Okay, this is a Macbeth Lecture Series that I'm putting together. I'd hardly call my work producing. I'm putting together for my 20-1 students. Because of COVID-19 and all that fun stuff, we are doing everything offline. Oh, to heck with my hair. Who knows how it's supposed to look? Anyway, nope, nope. Ay, ay, ay. It's not like looking in a mirror. It's like, sorry. Okay. This is actually a serious series. I am going to be talking about Macbeth for my students. Ah, you kiddos. Now, aren't you glad you don't have to be with me in the classroom every single day? So we are going to start with Macbeth. I'm going to open up, no, not you, put you aside for now. Open up Macbeth, No Fear, Shakespeare. They now call it No Fear Translation. I liked it better when it was No Fear Shakespeare. I like the rhyming silliness of that. All right, so three witches appear out of a storm. They make plans to meet after the battle to confront Macbeth. That is just basic plot information, insufficient to understand, to fully understand what this scene is about. The fact that three witches appear in and of itself is evident of the supernatural quality of this whole play. It is based on the belief that there is a supernatural force, both for good and for evil, that is with machinations, manipulating, taking all of us like puppets. More importantly, the fact that they're planning to meet Macbeth after the battle is a omen, a very what's the word I'm looking for? It's very foreboding. What is about to happen is not for, to put it bluntly, the good. This scene is steeped in atmosphere to set for us what this play is going to be like. It opens in darkness, it runs through in darkness, and it ends in just a final brief spurt of light. So we're going to go into scene one, and we're going to look at this as setting the foundation for the play, setting the overall tone, establishing overall themes, and of course, setting Macbeth up for failure. Yeah, pretty fascinating Greek gods. I can't do anything about the advertisements. So, unless maybe I made this a little tighter. Nope. Or wider? Nope. So, thunder and lightning. A storm, that is a technique that is used to show how nature is in harmony with man, or in this case, a lack of harmony. The chaos of the storm is symbolic of the chaos that is about to happen. Enter three witches. When shall we three meet again? In thunder, lightning, or in rain? When the hurly-burly's done, when the battle's lost and won. That will be ere the set of sun, where the place upon the heath, there to meet with Macbeth. I come, grey Malkin, paddock calls, anon! Fair is foul, and foul is fair, hover through the fog and filthy air. Now, of course, in a production, there's amazing sound effects that go along with this, and you've got better actors than me. So, such is life. But the women have met before. This isn't their first kick at the can. So they've been plotting and planning Macbeth's demise for a time now. When they intend to meet again is also going to be in a time of chaos, thunder, lightning, rain. The plan is to meet him after the battle. And a battle that's lost and won, that's a paradox in that whenever there's a battle, there is a winner and a loser, but it also extends beyond just the typical battle where one side wins. It's almost as if the battle that is lost and won is going to be Macbeth. And of course, again, reminding us that they are going to meet with Macbeth. And these women, there's everything about them, from their appearance to their mannerisms, is evil. And of course, the fact that they are speaking with Grey Malkin and Paddock, yeah, it's not just a cat and not just a toad. These are evil spirits that are calling to them. Here is the predominant theme of the play, written in a beautiful paradox. Fair is foul, and foul is fair. Hover through the fog and filthy air. That which is fair will appear to be foul, or rather, that which appears to be fair is truly foul, and that which appears to be foul is truly fair. We are going to see this throughout the whole play with many different characters where they are going to come across as, or going to be identified as, evil, when in fact they are good. Or they will be identified as good and honorable and noble, and we will discover, not the case. Scene 2. Now, original text, alarm within, enter King Duncan. Let me just go back to here to see what it said when we were at the table of contents. Well, I guess we can't get what was there before, but you can always find it yourself. Scene 2 is set, usually, I would set it in the king's palace. Maybe not. Maybe I would set it in the king's tent shortly after the battle, perhaps. The battle is raging on both sides. Yeah, so it's not in the castle. Sorry, I can't even believe I said that to begin with. They're in the king's tent. They're not on the battlefield, but they're near it. King Duncan is not the kind of king that goes onto the battle and fights his own battles. His men are fighting the battles for him. And in this scene, a bloody captain comes in. He's brought in from the front, and he's been wounded badly, and he tells the tale of what is going on to Duncan. And then when he's taken off to hopefully be healed by the king's own surgeon, other characters enter, I believe Ross, to give even more information. And the news they are giving is all about Macbeth. We learn about Macbeth. Our first introduction to him is in this scene, and it is based on what other people are saying about him. And it's based on them describing his deeds in battle. What bloody man is that? He can report, as seemeth by his plight of the revolt, the new estate. This is the sergeant who, like a good and hardy soldier, fought against my captivity. Hail, brave friend! Say to the king the knowledge of the broil as thou didst leave it. Doubtful it stood, as two spent swimmers that do cling together and choke their art. The merciless Macdonwald worthy to be a rebel, for that the multiplying villainies of nature do swarm upon him. From the western isles of kerns and gallowglasses is supplied, and fortune on his damned quarrel smiling, showed like a rebel's whore. But all's too weak for brave Macbeth. Well, he deserves that name, disdaining fortune with his brandished steel, which smoked with bloody execution, like Valier's minion, carved out his passage till he faced the slave, which ne'er shook hands nor bade farewell to him, till he unseamed him from the knaves to the chops, and fixed his head upon our battlements. Oh, valiant cousin, worthy gentleman, as whence the sun gins his reflection, shipwracking storms and direful thunders break, so that spring whence comfort seemed to come, discomfort swells. Mark, King of Scotland, mark. No sooner justice had, with valor armed, compelled those skipping kerns to thrust their heels, but the Norwegian lord, surveying vantage with furbished arms and new supplies of men, began a fresh assault. Dismayed not this our captains, Macbeth and Banquo? Yes, as sparrow eagles, or the hare, the lion. If I say Thus, I must report they were as cannons overcharged with double cracks, so they doubly restroked strokes upon the foe, except they meant to bathe in reeking wounds or memorize another Golgotha. I cannot tell, but I am faint. My gashes cry for help. So well thy words become thee as thy wounds. They smack of honors both. Go, get him, surgeons. Exit the captain with attendants. Enter Ross and Angus. Who comes here? The worthy Thane of Ross. What a haste looks through his eyes. So should he look that seems to speak things strange. God save the king. Whence came thou, worthy Thane? From Fife, great king, where Norwegian banners flout the sky and fan our people cold. Norway himself, with terrible numbers, assisted that most disloyal traitor, the Thane of Cawdor, began a dismal conflict, till that Bellona's bridegroom, lapped in proof, confronted him with self-comparisons, point against point, rebellious arm against arm, curbing his lavish spirit, and to conclude, the victory fell on us. Great happiness that now Sweno, the Norway's king, craves composition, nor would we deign him burial of his men till he dispersed at same Colm's inch $10,000 to our general use. No more that Thane of Cawdor shall deceive our bosom interest. Go, pronounce his death, and with his former title greet Macbeth. I'll see it done. But he hath lost. Noble Macbeth hath won. So let's go back to the first page of this. And fair is foul and foul is fair comes in. Oh, that doesn't come in until the end. Never mind. I keep mistaking that scene for this one. You think I never know I've been teaching this since 1990. The first thing we learn is that the bloody soldier is being carried off the battlefield or aided off the battlefield because he has been wounded. And he, like a good and hardy soldier, fought against my captivity. He is a man of great worth because he saved Malcolm from being captured and held for ransom. He is asked to explain the war, and he does. And as with Shakespeare, figurative language is used extensively. He describes the battle, Duncan's army, and Norway's army, or in this case, Duncan's army and MacDonald's army. They're like two spent swimmers that do cling together and choke their art. They have been fighting for so long that both are exhausted. MacDonald he calls merciless and a man worthy to be a rebel. And he goes on to explain the multiplying villainies of nature do swarm upon him. And the men who fight with him are from the Western Isles of Kerns and Gallowglasses. Now, I don't know if it tells us in here, but we are basically talking about, it says here, horsemen from Ireland and the Hebrides. What these men really are mercenaries, paid soldiers. And fortune, of course, appears to be on his side. Lovely. Showed like a rebel's whore. It's beautiful. He's not just a rebel. He's a whore to rebellion. But it doesn't matter. All's too weak because brave Macbeth. This is the first two words we hear about Macbeth. He is called Brave Macbeth. Okay, Lady Jane, please be a sweetie. And he deserves being called Brave Macbeth for what he does on the battlefield. And what he describes for us, when he brandished his steel, unsheathed his sword, which smoked with bloody execution, he was killing people left, right, and center on that battlefield. Like Valyer's minion, carved out his passage till he faced the slave. So he fought and cut down and killed countless soldiers to get to MacDonald, and had no words for him. He fought him, and I need more space. He took his sword, jammed it into his gut, ripped it all the way up to his chin, yanked it out, and chopped off his head, and fixed his head upon our battlements. The next two adjectives, brave, valiant, and worthy. This is how we are introduced to Macbeth. Oh, but that's not all. Just when we thought we had won that, just after we had won that battle with MacDonald, Sweno, the king of Norway, enters with fresh army, and they attack. Of course, Duncan is like, whoa, did this not confuse or frighten our captains, Macbeth and Banquo? Now we hear about Banquo. He is Macbeth's, he is the other general in this army. He is Macbeth's comrade in arms. Yes, as sparrows, eagles, or the hare of the lion. However, of course they were dismayed, but they were as cannons overcharged with double cracks. What a lovely, lovely simile here. They were cannons overcharged with double cracks. Their cannons exploded 2 cannonballs a shot. They were wreaking utter havoc on the field. Redoubled strokes upon the foe. They went insane with their fighting and their killing of the enemy. So they killed so many people. They either meant to bathe in reeking wounds, so much blood is spilt on the battlefield that they could bathe in it or swim in it, or memorize another Golgotha. Now, this, of course, is a biblical allusion, and a very important biblical allusion. All of these allusions will be explained for you in the notes of your textbook. Golgotha, where Christ was crucified, is also called the Mound of Skulls, because of all of the dead bodies for all of the different men who had been crucified there. So he is going to great lengths to explain how incredible, in this case, both Macbeth and Banquo were. So, of course, he has been wounded. He needs a doctor. Duncan releases him. Go get him surgeons. Ross and Angus enter, and they have more to say. So we move on to what Ross has to tell us about the battle. He comes from Fife, where the Norwegian banners float the sky and fan our people cold. And Norway was there. The numbers were just outstanding. Well, outstanding sounds fabulous. Fabulous for Norway, but enormous. The number of soldiers that Duncan's army was up against. But Duncan's army had that Bellona's bridegroom. Bellona is the goddess of war. Macbeth is such an incredible soldier that he is married to the goddess of war. And I have to jump back a bit. Assisted by that most disloyal traitor, the Thane of Cawdor. This is important because the Thane of Cawdor was a man who had deceived Duncan, and at the end of this scene, Duncan will give that title to Macbeth. So, because of Macbeth, they have victory. Ross, of course, says that they would not then allow Norway to collect their dead until they paid ransom. And they, very typical, I guess, dealings. Norway had to pay $10,000 to Scotland before they could come and retrieve their dead. Here is that theme: appearance versus reality. No more that Thane of Cawdor shall deceive our bosom interest. Cawdor deceived him. He's more than just a traitor, disloyal traitor. He was loved and trusted by Duncan. He's going to be put to death, and with his former title, greet Macbeth. It's very important we get this information now, because the next scene is critical. But he hath lost, noble Macbeth hath won. My computer's a little on the slow side. Sorry, folks. Let's go scene 1. I'm able to get that. Where am I? There we go. Act 1, Scene 3. Once again, the witches. Now, the first scene, the only thing that would suggest to us that they were evil would be the ominous tone of the atmosphere. What truly shows us their evil intent are their discussion that they have about what they plan to do to a poor captain of a ship, solely because his wife pissed off the first witch, and their supernatural powers. Enter thunder. Again, pathos, the chaos of the world is being mirrored in the weather. Where hast thou been, sister? Killing swine. Sister, where thou? A sailor's wife had chestnuts in her lap, and munched, and munched, and munched. Give me, quoth I. Aroint thee, witch, the rump-fed Runyon cries. Her husband's to Aleppo gone, master of the Tiber, but in a sieve off thither sail, and like a rat without a do, I'll do, and I'll do. Sorry. Yes, Simon, I'm just recording some Shakespeare. Oops. I worried my husband with my attempt at acting. This tells us, oh, that bitch is gonna get it, and I'm gonna get her by getting her husband. I'll give thee a wind, thou art kind, and I another. I myself have all the other, and the very ports they blow, all the quarters that they know in the shipman's card. I'll drain him dry as hay. Sleep shall neither night nor day hang upon his penthouse lid. He shall live a man forbid. Weary 7 nights, 9 times 9 shall he dwindle, peak, and pine. Though his bark cannot be lost, yet it shall be tempest tossed. Look what I have. Show me, show me. Here I have a pilot's thumb. Wrecked as homeward he did come. A drum, a drum. Macbeth does come. The weird sisters hand in hand, posters of the sea and land, thus do go about. Thrice to thine, and thrice to mine, and thrice again to make up 9. Peace, the charms wound up. So foul and fair a day I have not seen. How far is it called to Fours? What are these? So withered and so wild in their attire that look not like the inhabitants of the earth, and yet are on it. Live you? Or are you aught that man may question? You seem to understand me by each at once her choppy finger laying upon her skinny lips. You should be women, and yet your beards forbid me to interpret that you are so. Speak, if you can. What are you? All hail, Macbeth. Hail to thee, Thane of Gloms. All hail, Macbeth. Hail to thee, Thane of Cawdor. All hail, Macbeth, that shalt be king hereafter. Good sir, why do you start and seem to fear things that do sound fair? In the name of truth, are ye fantastical, or that indeed which outwardly ye do show? My noble partner you greet with present grace and great prediction of noble having and of royal hope, that he seems rapt withal. To me you speak not. If you can look into the seeds of time and say which grain will grow and which will not, speak then to me, who neither beg nor fear your favors nor your hate. Hail, hail, hail! Lesser than Macbeth and greater, not so happy, yet much happier. Thou shalt get kings, though thou be none. So all hail, Macbeth and Banquo. Banquo and Macbeth, all hail. Stay, you imperfect speakers, tell me more. By Sinel's death I know I am Thane of Gloms, but how of Cawdor? The Thane of Cawdor lives, a prosperous gentleman, and to be king stands not within the prospect of belief, no more than to be Cawdor. Say from whence you owe this strange intelligence, or why upon this blasted heath you stop our way with such prophetic greeting. Speak, I charge you. The earth hath bubbles, as the water has, and these are of them. Whither are they vanished? into the air, and what seemed corporal melted as breath into the wind. Would they had stayed. Were such things here as we do speak about? Or have we eaten on the insane root that takes the reason prisoner? Well, your children shall be kings. You shall be king. And the Thane of Cotter, too. Weren't it not so? To the self same tune and words. Who's here? Please go back to scene 3. Technology is not being nice. The king hath happily received, Macbeth, the news of thy success, and when he reads thy personal venture in the rebels' fight, he wonders, and his praises do contend which should be thine or his. Silenced with that, in viewing o'er the rest of the self-same day. He finds thee in the stout Norwegian ranks, nothing afeard of what thyself didst make, strange images of death, and thick as hail came post with post, and every one did bear thy praises in his kingdom's defence, and poured them down before you. I had to say thick with hail because I have the version that I read to my students and have read to my students every year for 29 years. Thick as hail that comes raining down. Sorry. We are sent to give thee from our royal master thanks, only to herald thee into his sight, not to pay thee. And for an earnest of greater honour, he bade me from him call thee Thane of Cotter, in which addition, hail, most worthy Thane, for it is thine. What? Can the devil speak true? The Thane of Cotter lives. Why do you dress me in borrowed robes? Who was the Thane lives yet, but under heavy judgment bears that life which he deserves to lose, whether he was combined with those of Norway, or did the line the rebel who hath hidden help and vantage, or that with both. He laboured in his country's wrack. I know not, but treason's capital, confessed and proved, have overthrown him. Glames, Gloms, and Thane of Cotter. The greatest is behind. Oh, thank you for your pains. Do you not hope your children shall be kings, who those that gave the Thane of Cotter to me promised no less to them? That trusted home might yet enkindle you unto the crown besides the Thane of Cotter, but 'tis strange, and oftentimes to win us to our harms, the instruments of darkness tell us truths, win us with honest trifles, to betray us in deepest consequence. Two truths are told as happy prologues to the swelling act of the imperial theme. I thank you, gentlemen. This supernatural soliciting cannot be ill, cannot be good. If ill, why hath it given me earnest of success, commencing in a truth? I am Thane of Cotter. If good, why do I yield to that suggestion whose horrid image doth unfix my hair, and make my seated heart knock at my ribs against the use of nature? Prison fears are less than horrible imaginings. My thought, whose murder is yet but fantastical, shakes so my single state of man that function is smothered in surmise, and nothing is but what is not. Look how our partner is wrapped. If chance will have me king, why chance may crown me without my stir. New honors come upon him like our strange garments cleave not to their mold, but with the aid of use. Come what come May. Time and the roughest hour runs. Time and the hour runs through the roughest day. Worthy Macbeth, we stay upon your leisure. Give me your favor, my dull brain was wrought with things forgotten. Kind gentlemen, your pains are registered where every day I turn the leaf to read them. Let us toward the king. Think upon what has chanced, and at more time the interim having waited, let us speak our free hearts each to other. Very gladly. Till then, enough. Come, friends. Okay, so Act 1, Scene 1, or Act 1, Scene 3. Let's get back into it and do a bit of a discussion of this particular scene. Let's go back to the beginning. A lot of very important information is given in this scene. It opens with the witches proving not only that they have supernatural powers, but that they have evil intent. It opens with the first witch talking about a sailor's wife who refused to share her chestnuts with her, and so the first witch will have her revenge. And her intention is to make the life of her husband, who is the captain of a ship, miserable. He is going to suffer horrendously. She will drain him dry as hay. He will not be able to sleep either night or day. There will be winds, weary 7 nights, 9 times 9. She is going to have his boat hit with storms. And of course, the other witches offer to help. And she is going to prove she's already put this man through misery. Although I'm sure there are other interpretations for the pilot's thumb. I've always interpreted it as being that particular man's thumb, that she is, through the tortures that she has put him through, one of her prizes is his thumb. Now Macbeth enters. And they wind up a charm. I envision them dancing in a circle, singing this song. My very first year of teaching, my mentor teacher told me about a production she saw where the witches drew a circle in chalk on the stage. They were inside that circle, and the charm that would ensnare Macbeth was inside that circle. And that when Macbeth and Banquo came onto the stage, Macbeth crossed over the line into the circle and was ensnared by the witches. Banquo, who remained outside the circle, was not taken in by them. Here we open with foul and fair day I have not seen. It's a foul day because the storms. It's a fair day, they've won the war, but it's also a fair day in terms of the news that he's going to be receiving. And almost immediately upon Macbeth's entrance, the witches appear before them. They, again, are hideous in appearance, withered, wild. They don't look like they live on the earth, yet they're here. They have choppy fingers, skinny lips. They should be women, but they have beards. And so he can't tell. Their gender is ambiguous. Macbeth wants to know what they have to say. The prophecies, the 3, actually only really 2 prophecies, but they hail him Thane of Glamis. And they say this to prove to him they know who he is. He is the Thane of Glamis. That is his official title. After his father died, he took over the title Thane of Glamis. They hail him Thane of Cawdor. That is the title he is going to receive in this scene. So they know who he is. They will be proven right in their prophecies in this scene, which then has Macbeth believing the third prophecy, that he shall be king. Interestingly enough, there's no stage direction to tell us Macbeth starts and shows fear based on what the women have said or the witches have said. Banquo gives the stage direction. This is very typical of Shakespeare. A lot of these stage directions that we see, they got written in after the fact. Shakespeare gave all stage directions in dialogue. Good sir, why do you start and seem to fear things that do sound so fair? Clearly, right off the bat, Macbeth's gut is telling him, this isn't right. This is wrong. He knows it's wrong. He senses it's wrong. Doesn't stop him from acting on it, though. So he, Banquo, says, okay, fine. If you really can make great predictions, tell me mine. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I neither beg nor fear. So at this point, I would have Macbeth speak, if you can. What are you? I would have him walking into that circle, that charmed circle, and I would have Banquo remaining outside of it. They hail him as well, and in a series of paradoxes, contradictory statements that express a truth, lesser than Macbeth and greater, not so happy, yet much happier. You shall get kings, and though thou be none, his sons will be kings. So they are both to be hailed. Macbeth, of course, is like, whoa, wait a minute, stop. This makes no sense. I know I'm Thane of Glamis because my father died, but I'm not Thane of Cawdor, and I can't be Thane of Cawdor because he's alive. So, I mean, and it's even more ridiculous to think I'm going to be king. I want you to tell me more. But they don't. They vanish. Now here it says witches vanish, but we don't need that stage direction. It's in Banquo's speech. The earth hath bubbles as the water has. Pop. And these are of them. Whither are they vanished? Into the air again. We don't need this. Shakespeare has it all in his dialogues. He wished they would stay, though. Oh, God, would they had stayed? I want to hear more. Of course he wants to hear more. They told him he was going to be king. Banquo cautions him, immediately setting himself up as a nemesis to Macbeth. And here he says, have we eaten on the insane route that takes the reason prisoner? Now, are we both on drugs? That's, very weak and feeble. No. Shakespeare's talking about hemlock. It's a drug. It's a plant that if you consume it, it can drive a man insane. It's not just getting stoned. I mean, we're talking going absolute balmy, nutter, bedlam, insane. And Macbeth has, in fact, eaten on the insane route. Throughout the course of the play, we are going to watch him and his wife go insane because of having eaten on the insane route, the prophecies. Now they laugh about the prophecies. Oh, your kids are going to be kings. Yeah, well, you're going to be a king. And Thane of Cawdor, too. But then enter Ross and Angus, and it's not a joke anymore. Macbeth, the king, has heard so many wonderful stories about you. Like a hailstorm everywhere, just pounding down. Macbeth is awesome. Macbeth is great. Macbeth's the best. Brave, honorable, noble, Bellona's bridegroom, Valure's minion, or whatever. All of these ways in which he was described. All of these praises poured down before him. And he bade me from him call thee Thane of Cawdor. Banquo? What? Can the devil speak truth? Banquo knows that these women, these witches, these evil creatures are up to no good. Macbeth is stunned. The Thane of Cawdor lives. Why do you dress me in borrowed robes? This is a lovely little motif that Shakespeare uses throughout, as well as the overarching theme of appearance versus reality, fair is foul and foul is fair. He has this idea that Macbeth enters into a position from which he is not worthy. It's like a child wearing an adult's clothing. The clothing of the king won't fit him. And he's like, I'm wearing clothes that don't belong to me. Why are you telling me I'm Thane of Cawdor? Angus explains about the Thane of Cawdor having been a traitor, and as a result, he's being sentenced to death. And as a result, come on, let's be good, be nice to me. This is my last scene for tonight. Come on. So, of course, Macbeth is in a number of asides. Oh my God. They knew I was Glamis. They knew I was going to become Thane of Cawdor. The greatest. Becoming king is behind. Or, in other words, actually, next. Okay, I'm Glamis. I'm now Cawdor. Oh my God, I'm going to be king. Holy shit. Then he brings himself together. Thank you, guys. Turns to Banquo. Wow. Are you not anxious to, are you not hoping that your kids are going to be kings now? I mean, they gave the Thane of Cawdor to me. Your kids are going to be kings, man. Again, Banquo is like, whoa. Yeah, I know you're the Thane of Cawdor. That trusted home might yet enkindle you unto the crown. But, come on, 'tis strange. This is strange, buddy. Let's look at this for what it is. Oftentimes, to win us to our harm, the instruments of darkness tell us truths, win us with honest trifles, to betray us in deepest consequence. Sorry, I'm trying to kill a mosquito at the same time as teaching this. So now Banquo leaves Macbeth to his thoughts and goes to speak with the others. And here, in a beautiful, beautiful soliloquy aside, where he is speaking in his head or to himself, he's mulling over what's just happened. Two truths are told. Lovely metaphor, or as happy prologues to the swelling act of the imperial theme. It's like these are the prologues, the forewords to my future. Yes, I am Glamis. Wow, now I'm Cawdor. Next I will be king. But he has to admit, deep in his gut, he knows this isn't a good thing. This supernatural soliciting cannot be ill, cannot be good. Like, he's like, is it good? Is it bad? Like, what the heck? If it's bad, why am I given Thane of Cawdor? I mean, that's suggesting that I'm going to be king. That's good. But if it's good, why do I yield to that suggestion, whose horrid image doth unfix my hair and make my seated heart knock at my ribs against the use of nature? He's thinking about killing, against nature, killing a king anointed, appointed by God, God's right hand on the planet, running things for God, to kill a king is a crime against God himself. And that's what he's thinking. So there's no way this can be good, especially when it's got his hair standing on end. And we know that it's murder because he says it. My thought, whose murder yet is but fantastical, shakes so my single state of man, that function is smothered in surmise, and nothing is but what is not. It's just the prospect of committing murder is horrendous. It's heinous. It's not the same as fighting on the battlefield where you're fighting for your country or your king or your honor or whatever. Murder. Murder. It's murder. Macbeth knows that this is wrong. He says, nope, 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 not gonna do it. If chance will have me king, why chance may crown me without my stir. Banquo notices how odd he's behaving. He's moved off to the side and he's talking to himself. Once again, clothes that don't fit. New honors come upon him like our strange garments cleave not to their mold. We will see this motif brought back later on in the play. Again, no, I don't have to take any action. Come what come may. Time and the hour runs through the roughest day. I don't have to take any action. Chance may crown me without my stir. Worthy Macbeth, we stay upon your leisure. Oh, give me your favor. Sorry, my dull brain was wrought with things forgotten. Sorry, I was thinking, and believe it, I can't remember what I was thinking. Bullshit. If Macbeth, his initial character, as described to us in the previous scene, was brave, noble, worthy, he was probably also honest. And this is very likely one of his first lies. He has just lied. And then he says to Banquo, I think this is a lie too. Just to Banquo, think upon what hath chanced, and at more time the term having waited, let us speak our free hearts together. So let's think about what these witches have said, and we'll get together again later, and let's talk about this honestly. I don't think Macbeth wants to talk honestly about it. I mean, he's already started considering murdering Duncan. Okay, I'm going to stop there because that has probably been close to an hour of filming. I don't know, but I'm going to stop recording. There we have